and welcome to Dairyland Frights. I'm your host, John, of the paranormal podcast that covers everything spooky, creepy, and mysterious in the Midwest and beyond. And today on the podcast, I am so fortunate. I saw her content and I said, this is really unusual content in a good way, and spooky content in a better way. And paranormal, man, you just checked all the boxes. It's Marissa from the Death Kiss Travelers podcast.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yes. And please give Marissa some of your love, my spooky friends, because again, she does some really, really cool stuff that's a little different, kind of talking about some haunted places, haunted amusement parks and stuff, which... teaser, that's what's going to be one of our topics today. So I'm hoping Marissa can give us some insight into it if she knows some of these. If not, we can enjoy them together. How's that sound?
Love it. And what's funny, there's so much. So people will always ask me, have you heard of this? And I'm like, no, but now I got to do a whole episode on it.
Yeah.
So it'll be good.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things is with what you're talking about and everything, I guess, what interested you in that? Were you at an amusement park and all of a sudden you were in the bathroom and like something pulled your hair and you went
right? No. So my podcast, it started with amusement park accidents. So it's odd. Ever since I was a little kid, I love amusement parks. I grew up going to amusement parks. My dad would take us to Disneyland all the time. I grew up in Southern California. And then I would always be that weird kid in line being like, has somebody died on this ride? It's so weird. I know. So then I would like go and Google it and be like, okay, who died on it? And surprisingly, it happens all the time, especially those old rides. And so I just fell in love with amusement park accidents. And then it grew from there and being like the history. For me, I love history and like dark history, like and theme parks have been around for so long. Mm-hmm. Oh, excuse me. And so it's fun. It's fun.
So me and you are now spooky friends because we love history. And I can see you. This is tell me if this is right, because this is absolutely hilarious. You're probably like 10 years old or something. And you're like, hey, mister, did someone die on this roller coaster?
For sure. I'd be like, how many people have died on here? And then when they would tell me none, I'd be like, really?
Oh, wow.
My favorite roller coaster is at Lagoon Amusement Park in Utah. That's where I live now, is in Utah. And it's over 100 years old and 4 people have died on it. And I love it. So, yeah.
Hold up. Back up. It's still running and 4 people have died on it.
Still running. Yes. Like it opened in like the early 1900s. And I think that's what also fascinates me is that we don't think of like the 1800s and 1900s with roller coasters, like ever. And so when you think about those early roller coasters, that they didn't even have lap bars, like it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's really crazy in the sense of the safety has changed in a hopefully in a good way.
Yes.
I remember seeing something about, those tilt-a-whirl things, where they spin everybody around really fast and stuff.
Yeah.
I saw one where people flew off of those things.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah. Fair rides. That's a whole different story. Like fair rides are so sketchy.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially when you go to the ones that are in the mall and they have ones.
Yeah. Like the mall parking lot ones. Is that one the ones you're talking about? Yep.
Yeah. Those ones are weird because you're like, why is there like a rotting piece of wood holding this thing up, right? Or something?
It's on weird stilts. We went to a fair last year in a small town up in Idaho, and they had a sign on the zipper ride, the one that takes you like up and around. And they had a sign that was like, help wanted for takedown. And I'm like, no, don't. Like,
what?
I would hope the professionals take this down, but no, they just random people got $10 an hour to help take it down.
Yeah, exactly. And that's scary. That's scary enough to me. That's why I don't really do a lot. Unfortunately, I can't do really roller coasters because I have like with my stomach, and I'm just one of those people where my stomach goes into my mouth, and I'm like, yeah,
Yes.
I can't do that.
The older I get, the more I'm feeling that. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And what's really fun though is to see some of the rides that have endured, like the Tilt-A-Whirl. That hasn't really
Mhm.
changed, right? The little
Yes.
teacup spinning around thing, that really hasn't changed.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
kind of the same, right? They
Yeah.
haven't been except for roller coasters. There
Yeah.
haven't been advances in anything else.
I mean, bigger and faster. That's about
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So when did it turn that you turned into the spooky a little bit? When did you say like, oh, let's look at the paranormal of this?
So with like the history, like the old history, I mean, most theme parks are built like it sounds crazy, but a lot of them are built over burial grounds. A lot of them are built, early 1900s and have some dark history that goes along with it. I've always loved ghosts. I've always loved scary movies. And so when I started looking into my podcast and being like, could I actually do a whole podcast on amusement park accidents? Surprisingly, yes. Like there are so many, but I'm like, I want to change it up a little bit and do circuses and the hauntings of it and just all of the darkness around the places that are meant to be the most fun.
Yeah, exactly. And what really makes you interested, especially in Disney, people have died at Disney. They just don't really bring it up, right?
Yeah,
Am I
tons.
correct on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Disneyland, and like you can fact check this, but I think they're at 54 deaths at Disneyland.
Mhm.
So it's quite a few.
That sounds about right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds about right. Yeah, people have, I don't know what to believe. It's the internet.
Right.
Some people have been decapitated. Some
Mhm.
people have been thrown off the ride. Some
Yeah.
people have been run over.
Yep.
I can tell you my funny story about Disney. And it's not that it's really scary or anything. I just like telling this. Drives my daughter nuts. So we were going on Pirates of the Caribbean, and she was about 4 years old at the time, about 4 or 5. And anyway, so Pirates of the Caribbean, if you don't know, before you go into the ride, it's pitch black, it's dark, and all you hear is like water rushing, right? So my daughter decided to scream her head off and wanted to jump out of the ride. So good old dad had to jump and hold her and keep her like this close to me because she was just screaming her head off. And that was pretty funny.
That's funny. And I'm a mom to 4 boys, and my kids were the ones that were like trying to stand up. Like at least one of them, I have my second child. It is that second child. He would stand up right before it would drop. I'm like, sit down, you're gonna die.
Sit down, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I don't want that to happen to my kid, but has anyone else died on this ride?
Exactly. But no, Pirates is a good one. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, Pirates is an unusual ride because it is it's fun. Since Pirates of the Caribbean with Johnny Depp, they've instituted that and stuff like that. So the thing too is Disneyland and Disney World are both haunted. And I don't know if you've covered any of that. They have some crazy. Has anybody reached out to you about some of the former, not rides, but they had like these different automatons, like robots, you know what I mean? Like now they have them buried
Definitely
somewhere.
researched it. Yeah. Disneyland, whenever I do a Disney episode of any kind, it's always my highest rated episodes. So I get the most listeners from Disney. People are fascinated by it.
Yeah. Exactly. And one of the things is what really makes it fun is Disney has this wholesome thing, right? And it's like, you can't get hurt here. Nothing can happen. Oh,
exactly.
Yes, it can.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a lady that just had a heart attack on Haunted Mansion and died. So that was just a couple months ago.
Oh my God. You know what I mean? That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's absolutely crazy. And, it's fun, though, in the sense of it's interesting and, tragic at the same time. I'm not trying to belittle any of these things because this is a horrible, horrible thing. But you think, like I said, as Disney is this wholesome place, as nothing could go wrong. You're safe here. You got Mickey Mouse. You're beautiful. It's wonderful. It's your dream world.
Yes.
And it can be a nightmare for some people, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And unfortunately, Disney has better lawyers than you do. So if anything does happen, you're not getting paid out.
Yes. So me and Marissa would be out of luck if any of our kids, with something tragic happened to us. We would be like, okay,
Yeah.
that sucks.
Yeah. Exactly. So
What do you think with the paranormal? Now, normally I'm asking the question of like graveyards, cemeteries, houses, stuff like that. Why do you think the paranormal is at amusement parks? I mean, amusement parks are full of laughter and joy and happiness for the most part. Let's be honest. Why do you think the paranormal would, I don't know, be there or want to stay around? If you want to.
So I think it kind of depends on the park. For Disneyland, I can totally see Walt Disney haunting the park. And there's so many stories of Walt Disney being there. I mean, that was his whole life. And so I can imagine him wanting to check in on things from time to time. And there's so many stories about like the light flickering on in his room, like the telephone ringing, things like that. So I think that's kind of cool. Other ones like is it Williamsburg? It's Williamsburg. I did an episode on that. It's over a graveyard. There is still graves in the theme park, like right next to it. At the lagoon in Farmington in Utah, they have a whole section of pioneer houses, like log cabins that they have brought in. And I think maybe those ones hold residual energy. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what people don't understand. It doesn't matter where you are. It's the tragedy and, what kind of soaks up into each object, ride, so on and so forth. And that's based on a theory called stone tape theory. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
No, I haven't.
So it's something you want to look up to and study. So basically, stone tape theory is by this gentleman came up with energy, remember, just doesn't vanish. It just doesn't go away. Okay.
Yeah.
If you remember your high school physics class or maybe your college physics class. So energy goes somewhere. It has to go somewhere. All right. And typically energy from a tragic thing is going to go somewhere. So that's why they don't tell people, like, let's say you're at a cemetery, right? And you pick up, I don't know, a rock. You may think, oh, it's just a rock at a cemetery. Who cares? Well, that's rock. Might have been cursed. It might have been absorbed by negative energy. You don't know what that is, right? So you go home, you hear this all the time, right? You go home and you take it home.
Yes.
Crazy, right? Crazy stuff happened. So I love that. And, I think it's one of those things that you got to like look at and say, believe what you want to believe, but I believe in it because, again, if you've been around certain places, I don't know if you're sensitive at all, because I've talked to some people who are sensitive. Well, they'll walk into a room, right, and they'll be like, there's something off. Like there's something. Maybe you've just had that where you walk into some place and something's off, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm very intuitive that way. Yes. Okay. I don't see ghosts. I've never seen a ghost. I mean, I've never seen one. I've had weird things happen, but I'm very intuitive to like being walking in and be like, yep, something happened. Maybe that's with like roller coasters. I'm like, I know somebody died on this ride.
I know somebody was killed. Who was killed? Tell me who was killed.
Who is it? Yes.
That's funny. I love that. So speaking of paranormal and incident, have you ever have a paranormal tale or story you could tell my spooky friends?
Do you want it about me or about like theme parks?
Could we do both, please?
Yeah, we can do that. So I'll start with just mine. So I had two little boys, my husband, we moved from Arizona back up to Utah, and we lived in this old, like early 1900s house for about 9 months. And it was haunted, like in every way. It just had a weird energy. Everybody felt it. Even my kids, like they were so little, like were they 4 and 1.5, like weird things would happen to them. And one time I was sitting down in my office chair just working, and I felt like my hair like get brushed up and like pushed off my back. And I like turned around being like, what was that? Like, but I felt it lift up, and it was creepy. It was horrible, actually. And then like I would walk up the stairs, and there would be times that I would have to stop because I felt like somebody was going to push me down the stairs. So it was pretty creepy. Yeah.
Yeah, that
And then
is.
I asked after we moved out, I asked the landlord, I said, have you ever felt or seen ghosts in this house? And there's lots more. And she's like, no, we've never had that. But I knew she was lying. There's my intuition. I knew she was lying. So, and then I asked somebody that knew like the people that had moved in there. I was like, have they seen ghosts or had weird things? She goes, oh my gosh, all the time. They've seen an old lady walking down the hallway. And I'm like, yes, see, I wasn't the only one. I wasn't crazy. So,
Wow, I love
yeah.
that. Yeah, and so I think you already told me, but just make sure here. Did you look up the history of the house, Marissa?
No, I actually never did. I don't know if it like creeped me out enough that I was like, I know my experience. I don't need to know what happened here. Maybe I should. I've actually like never thought, isn't that weird? I've never really thought that I should like look that house up.
Yeah, because there's something could be, well, it could be something just, I don't know, nice, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or it could be something.
It didn't feel nice.
Did you ever feel like it was bad though? Did you ever like go like, oh, there's something I don't like?
Yeah, like I think that it didn't feel like a good spirit. Like whatever was there, it felt pretty negative. Like, I mean, sometimes it wouldn't be bad. Like one time I was upstairs and it had an unfinished basement and we had just moved in and all of our boxes were stacked up against one wall. And I hear a box fall and scrape along the floor because it's a cement floor. And I go downstairs and there was one box on the other side of the room. And it just didn't feel right. Like even me telling you that, I'm like full body chills. Like I was like, I gotta go. We gotta get out of here. So
yeah, exactly. So how about your one at the amusement park?
Okay, so I don't have one at an amusement park like that I felt like a ghost story, but I could just tell you, let's see, there's so many. Like I'm trying to think of ones that let's go back to Williamsburg. I haven't talked about Williamsburg. I think it was actually one of my very first episodes almost a year ago. So Williamsburg is built over a cemetery there, and there are sightings of ghosts all the time. And there's even a hotel that people will see ghosts of soldiers like rummaging through their stuff because it's built right next to it. So it's and there's like a woman in white that she'll stand next to the roller coasters or next to like the forest and then just disappear. And they hear weird voices. They hear footsteps all the time. So.
Gosh. Yeah, that's rummaging through your stuff. I love that. Look up. Hey.
Why?
What are you
and have you heard? This isn't a theme park, but I love like basically any like travel. But have you heard of the Queen Mary in California, the cruise ship, right?
Absolutely.
They say the same thing there. Like there will be a ghost looking through your stuff and then like disappear when you wake up. I'm like, I gotta go stay there.
Yeah. By the way, I've had guests on who have stayed there. Doesn't disappoint, Marissa. Definitely.
I need to.
They do ghost tours. You can either do it individually, do it like a flashlight tour, or you can do it with a guide if you would like, or any of the paranormal investigators around there, I'm sure would be like, yeah, sure. Come on in.
Yeah.
We'll go around and check it out. Yeah, because every part of that ship it is haunted one way or another. From obviously some tragedy and some other stories that maybe you've never heard of that are pretty scary.
Yeah.
Just rummaging through your stuff. I love that.
Yeah. So for me, like it's the late night stories, like where it's just, the lone worker that's cleaning stuff up and they hear the footsteps or they hear the ride click or the abandoned amusement parks. I'm really fascinated by abandoned amusement parks and like the energy that they hold, that people will hear music playing and the ride isn't even plugged in. I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I have some fun questions before we get to our topic today.
Okay.
All right. So if you owned a haunted amusement park, what would you name it? And would you tell people it's haunted?
I don't know. I would definitely tell people it's haunted. And it would probably, because I'm not very creative, being like Death Kiss Traveler Amusement Park.
Go.
Theme. We're just going with the brand here.
Yeah. So people could go in there and be like, okay, I know the theme.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's Death Kissed. Come on. Like it's yeah, actually that's a really good idea. I've always wanted to start my own theme park.
There you go. See, it'd be like a Dollywood, but for paranormal stuff.
Yes, like the dark and like all the evil villains. I know Disney's now doing a villains land and all of that,
Yeah,
but I had that idea first.
you had it first. You hear it here, lawyers. You got Marissa. She got it. We got it. I got it on tape.
Yes.
I got recorded. Okay, so if you were a ghost and when you passed, what ride would you haunt at your amusement park?
That's a good one. Probably the wooden roller coaster at Lagoon. I love that one. Or I'd go to Disneyland and just haunt like the Haunted Mansion. I could totally be a ghost in the Haunted Mansion.
Really? All right.
Do you want to hear something kind of crazy about the Haunted Mansion? I did an episode on
Yes.
this. It is the number one ride for people to scatter ashes in, and they have to clean them up. Like there's cameras everywhere, but it happens all the time, like multiple times a week. People are trying to scatter their loved ones' ashes in there. And when it happens, it's called Code Grandma, and they have to come and HEPA vacuum up your grandma. So don't do that. But
People,
yeah.
there's a better place to put grandma.
I know.
God.
But yeah, it happens all the time. So
Wow. Thank you. I've never heard of that. See, we learn something new every day, folks.
every day. I
Don't
know.
take
I would
grandma
love to
there,
have
she'll
my
be in the
ashes
HEPA
there.
filter.
But yeah, exactly. I don't want to be in a HEPA filter, so do it sneaky.
Boy, that vacuum cleaner must be super haunted now.
Seriously, for multiple times a week. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, there's just souls trapped in someone's vacuum cleaner that they're throwing in the trash. I mean, like,
well,
whoa,
they say that ride is actually haunted. So, and it doesn't surprise me with how many people are just, they're somewhat scattered there.
Yeah, exactly. So, would you be a friendly ghost or mischievous ghost?
I'd be friendly. I'd be for sure. I would, but I mean, I would want to like scare them a little bit, but I'd be friendly.
Oh, okay. So,
yeah, I'd be like, come on this ride with me.
Yeah. What would be your attire? Would you be wearing a dress, be wearing sweatpants? And
actually, it's funny because when I get dressed sometimes, this sounds horrible. I'm like, what if I died and this is my ghost outfit? Maybe I'm a negative person, but I just dropped that. Yeah, I think that all the time. I'm like, I don't want this to be my ghost outfit. So I'd probably be like in like something comfortable. I got to live an eternity in it. So it'd be like a sundress or like shorts and a t-shirt.
Shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
I agree. So we've learned 3 things about Marissa. One, if you're at Disneyland or her theme park, you will see her in shorts or a t-shirt or possibly a nice little sundress. And she's going to be nice to you, but she's going to scare you a little bit. Maybe
a little.
Poke you.
We're going to ride the ride together, okay?
So you're going to ride the ride together.
Yeah.
Maybe Marissa and I, as ghosts, she could hold my hand on a roller coaster and be, it's okay, John. We're going to be okay. Would that be okay? All right, cool.
You won't be afraid at all.
That's awesome. Last question. What is your favorite food at a amusement park?
That's so, and if you listen to my podcast, almost every episode, I talk about the smells of food, the churros, all of that. I would definitely say a Disneyland churro. Like there is nothing better. Nothing. Just even walking by. Another fun fact about Disney is they pump the smells into the park. So when you walk by and you're like, that popcorn smells good or that churro smells good, it's not real. Those are fake smells that you're smelling.
Fake smells. I knew it.
Yeah, I know. And it gets you every time. You're like, I got to buy it.
Those bastards.
But yeah, Disneyland churros.
Yeah, awesome. Mine, until I learned how bad it is for you, was like a deep fried Oreo. Have you ever had those?
Oh, yeah, I have. Yeah, they're
like 3,000 calories. It's insane, right?
Yeah.
It's insane. It's nuts. And if you give it to your kids, well, at least if they were younger, yep, that's a rookie mistake. Your kid's going to be bouncing off the walls for the next 5 days.
Yes, but you got to buy it. You got to try it.
Yeah, try it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been to...
Go ahead. I was going to say, Yeah. Have you ever been to Universal Studios?
No, I have not.
Okay. So at Universal Studios, there's a restaurant called Mythos. And Universal's actually my favorite theme park, but Mythos has this risotto that I crave. I love it. If it's the weirdest theme park food, but if you ever go to Universal, you got to go get the risotto.
Okay. Now we have become a food podcast, folks. So now this is John and Marissa's Food Haunted Podcast.
That's what we should do. Go around and taste all the foods. Yes.
I would love that. That is another show. We are clicking today, Marissa. We're bang, bang, boom. Ideas are coming. I love it.
Have you ever been to Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights?
No, but I'd love to go.
Okay, I go every single year, and every year they have different foods that are kind of with the theme. And they have like blood bags that have like drinks in them and stuff. And like it looked like a hard boiled egg, but it was like made of like panna cotta and pudding. And it was so good. Like you have to go just for the food.
Yes. Now you're making me hungry. Thanks.
Sorry.
That's all right. I just had lunch. All right. So believe it or not, Marissa, you kind of gave us the topic for today. And the topic today are abandoned, haunted theme parks.
Yes. That's my favorite.
Yes. So some of these you would probably know. Some of these you'll go, I never heard of. And there's a topic for you. You're welcome.
Thank you. Yes. I'll write them down as we're going.
Yeah. So whenever you're ready, let's start with pretty much everybody knows this one. And if you don't, definitely learn about this one because this one's crazy. And I'll post up some of the pictures on my Instagram, other social media sites where you go like, oh, okay, yikes. Yeah. So first one, Lake Shawnee Abandoned Amusement Park. Okay.
Yes,
you're nodding your head. Marissa's
my first episodes. Yes. I love it. Fascinating stuff.
So please comment. If any of this is my research, you probably did a million times better research than I did, but please comment if you're like, oh, no, John, it still does this or whatever. But it is known as one of the world's most haunted amusement parks, if not places. So Lake Shawnee Abandoned Amusement Park is a place where mystery hangs in the air. Stories passed down by word of mouth recall a frontier era tragedy, an ancient burial ground, and an eerie amusement park left behind. The site draws historians and curious minds alike, all wondering what truths lie within the folklore. But you'll have to see it for yourself. So this place is in West Virginia. And like I said, it's called the Lake Shawnee Amusement Park. And it's got one of the creepiest backstories I've ever heard. So it's been abandoned, folks, since the 1980s. And it's crazy because when you start looking at pictures, go online, Google it, you'll be like, whoa, it's spooky as hell. People still talk about the weird stuff that happens there. So the land itself sits on and has a violent past. Back in 1785, a settler named Mitchell Clay lost 3 of his kids. 2 were killed by Native Americans, and the 3rd was captured and burned at the stake. Clay and some others retaliated by killing several Native Americans. So yeah, not exactly peaceful ground to build on. Now, fast forward to 1926, when a guy named Conley Sindow, I guess, decided to open an amusement park.
Think of what his name was. Is it Snidell?
Snidell, thank you.
Okay.
I'm a mush mouth, so.
No, it's me. It's fine. It's fine. You should hear me try and podcast. It's a good thing we can edit things.
Yes, it had all the usual stuff, I should say. Not unusual, I guess. A Ferris wheel, a swing ride, even a swimming pool. But accidents started piling up. 2 kids drowned in the pool. And in 1966, a little girl died on the swing ride after a delivery truck backed into it. The park shut down in 1967 after failing a health inspection.
That's the only thing, right? Like crazy.
Kids are dying. Hey, that churro, that's bad.
Yeah, yep, that's it.
Close it down. In the 80s, a former employee named Gaylord White bought the land and tried to reopen the park. But after just 1 season, it closed again. Insurance costs were too high. Then things got even weirder. White's crew started digging for a new attraction and found boy. Native American artifacts and human remains. So that's not good, right?
And not
So,
just a couple, like thousands.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they had to call an archaeologist. And like Marissa just said, they have many skeletons, but according to my research, it was mostly kids. Is that true? Is that what
I
you
think
found in
that's
your research?
right. If I remember right, I think that's correct.
Yeah. So, like, okay.
Yeah,
Now
and a
people
lot of
say,
like artifacts that have to do with children and like pots and stuff like that. It wasn't like weapons, if I remember right.
yeah, that's kind of my research too. It was just, not run of the mill stuff, but it
Mhm.
wasn't anything like bloody axes and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that.
The good stuff.
Now people say the place is haunted. Visitors report hearing children's laughter when no one's around, and some have seen apparitions near the old rides. The swing ride where the girl died is still standing, rusted and motionless, but some swear they've seen it move on its own. Again, once you Google it and when I put this up, oh, that's hella creepy. I mean, for a swing, it's just weird that it's still there.
Right.
And it's just all rusted out, and it looks like something like you're out of a horror movie. Like if you ask me a picture, what does a creepy thing in a horror movie swing look like? That's it. Right?
There it is. Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy. So the park has been featured on a bunch of ghost hunting shows, and they all say the same thing. There's something not right about this place. So if you're in a haunted spot, if you're into this haunted spots like me and Marissa are, as well as history, Lake Shawnee is open for guided tours during Halloween season. Come on, Marissa. You tell me you've gone to this, or you going?
I haven't, but I know of a girl that lives up there, and I asked her, I was like, let's go. Like, take me up there. Let's do it. So, yeah, we got to go try it.
Please do. And then, we'll get you back on the show and you can be like, John, this is the craziest. It's great.
There's people, they say like that, because you can camp there actually, like overnight. And they say that there's a lot of people that don't make it through the night because it's so haunted. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. I won't be camping overnight. I'll just go and visit it during the day.
Take the tour. All right. Take the tour. Just don't, like I've said, people, don't take anything from this site. People who have pocketed souvenirs have reported bad luck until they return it.
Interesting. I haven't heard that. That's interesting.
Yeah. And the creepiest part, folks, spooky friends, some say the spirits of those behind and those buried, again, like I said, have never left. So again, like I said, these people have been around since the 1700s or whatever it was, to now. So I've heard stories. People said they've seen Native Americans, that they've seen, little girls, that they've seen other apparitions, and everyone, like you said, sometimes they're just like, nope, I'm out. Like, obviously it's vandalized. Obviously there's people in there, and you just don't see like other parks, the vandalism to a certain degree, because it's like people freak out and they bounce. I mean, they get the hell out of there, right?
Yeah.
Anything you want to add till we move on to the next one?
So they say that you can hear splashing in the swimming pool there, even though there's not really water in it. And so people like to go and pay their respects. They'll put toys along the edge of the pool so that for a child, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just some of it. There's, I'm guessing, a whole bunch of, and, if you go onto Reddit or wherever, I was kind of poking around Reddit and checking it out. There's people that have visited, like it freaks them out, stuff like that. So all right. So the next one is Fun Spot Amusement Park.
Okay, where is it at?
Angola, Indiana.
I don't think I've ever heard of this one.
Yeah. So originally opened in the 1950s, Fun Spot Amusement Park and it's a zoo, was a Hoosier state staple for years until it closed in 2008. So fairly recently.
Yeah.
This theme park was once the home of the state's only inversion coaster. So the ones that turns, riders upside down. And also some of the rides were kind of cutting edge for the time and everything. So, it was kind of an interesting spot. But what's some of the weird things that have been happening on this is that it's kind of been infested with bugs. And nobody knows why. I know this isn't spooky per se, but
There are people that are freaked out by bugs, so yes.
Yeah. So here in the Midwest, we have wood ticks and ticks. Now, if these ticks they can give you Lyme disease, which could be fatal in some people. So these people who have been there have found ticks all over their skin, buried in their skin. So it's like if you go into the woods and stuff, one of the main things here in the Midwest, and it might be where you live too, Marissa, you just got to check your kids, got to check yourself because they can get in your hair and stuff like that. And they are deadly. So one of the things that they said was, why are these ticks in the middle of this amusement park? Like, it makes no sense. It's not near woods. It's not. So people are like, okay. And it is isolated, but it's not, I don't know. It's not in the sense where it's like woods surrounding it or anything like that where ticks typically live. But people have said, who have been to this, have said there's an eerie feel when you go in, right? There's just something off about it. And people have, again, claimed they've seen apparitions. They've claimed they have heard voices. They claim that the bugs are just weird. Like, why are these bugs? There's a little more bugs than normal. Now you can say, well, geez, John, that's because it's a amusement park and there's people throwing their food everywhere, blah, blah, blah. But it just seems like it's being that it's kind of isolated and kind of rural. They haven't found, to be clear, they haven't found it's on a Native American burial ground. They haven't found any history with people dying there, at least none that they admit.
That's what I was going to ask. Has anybody died there?
Yeah. And no, they haven't. But if you look at this park, it's weird because it just stopped in 2008 and they've sold some of the rides and everything. It's just kind of a weird looking park because it looks fairly new and it looks like something, not to say that you would go to it, like, oh, is it still open kind of thing? No, you can tell like, there's something off about this park. Like age is starting to set in. So it's really interesting. And also people here in Indiana just were surprised that it closed kind of fast. Like nobody knows the reason why other than, I'm guessing, insurance. I don't know. So have you heard of this one? Being that it's not a lot of paranormal, it's just
I haven't.
Eerie.
Yeah, I haven't at all. But with like the weird energy of it, I've done quite a few like episodes and research on abandoned amusement parks and why they feel so odd. And if you think about like, these are the happiest places. They hold all of the good things and then it's just gone. And so it's like the research that I've like done and all that is that the park remembers. And it's almost like that place is now sad that energy is not there anymore. It's kind of fascinating when you think about it. Like the happiest places go from desolate and just gross and like, because you have to remember, like, think about the smells there alone. Like these old parks that you have rust, metal, wood being rotted, like stagnant water everywhere. Like, they're pretty icky.
Yeah, exactly. Now, next one, we're going to go to Germany, in Berlin. And there's an abandoned park once you look it up, it's kind of freaky, And this one's called Spree Park, And as far as abandoned theme parks go, Spree Park in Berlin is among one of the more famous, perhaps particularly thanks to its shocking history. Originally, according to Atlas Obscura, the original attraction opened in 1969 as a communist government with East Germany decided to have a little fun and open a theme park. And it thrived into the fall of the Berlin Wall. Now, people, the reason this place is somewhat haunted, but what you got to remember, it's communist. So there's not really fun in it. It's like has some spooky faces. It has like this goofy like tunnel thing with this kind of big spooky face, and because it's it's gray, it's dull, it's not fun, and immediately you go into the park and you're like, this is freaky already because there's no color, there's no nothing. It's gray, it's drab, it's just it's communist. Good line to have fun. And like,
looking at the history of that one's fascinating to me because they, is right after the Cold War ended and they're like, what do we do? What do we need? And they're like, oh, a theme park. Like out of all the things, like better build a theme park.
Yeah, exactly. And and once you look at it, you're like, damn, yes, that is crazy. So folks, I know you've done this one, but we're going to do it anyway, is Disney's River Country, Lake Bonita Vista, Florida. This one's an island, okay? And basically Disney just abandoned it because basically it was River County's first resort's first water park. It was designed to look like a rustic swimming hole, okay? Reportedly, it was inspired by books that like Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn, and some accounts post that the new water attractions like Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Beach resulted in the downfall of Disney's River Country, which ultimately closed and was never properly dismantled. And of this forgotten Disney park, Lawless says, part of the Disney community, I guess, nothing is more creepy than an abandoned section of Disney World with everything still intact. Even creepier, he was almost attacked by alligators during his shoot. So if you guys look at this, and excuse me, let me back up. This is the one on the island. This is the one you can go. They have a thing on YouTube too to kind of talk about this. So what it was, they wanted to kind of make like a back in the day, like Disney had like Daniel Boone, Davy Crockett, kind of adventures, things like that. So they made this like water park kind of theme to it, right? And it was really, really nice. And this was back in the 70s and everything. And they tried to make it like Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn. But like I said, Typhoon Lagoon came around and this Blizzard Beach came around and they just shut it down and they abandoned it. They didn't tear it down. They didn't do anything. And it's full. And like I said, it's in Florida. So there's gators in there. There's some wild animals in there. So they do not recommend to go in that to check it out because one, you'll be arrested for trespassing. So please don't do that. And two, gator might get you. So it's not really haunted, but it's creepy as hell that everything is still there. The water slides and everything. It's super bizarre. Have you heard of that one?
Well, I have. And I actually do think it's haunted because people did die there. So there was actually several drownings there. And then do you know why they don't claim this is why. So this is speculation. But there was a little boy that had a brain-eating amoeba after swimming there. And so he died. He went home, died, and I think he was 13. All these stories start to kind of blur together. But anyways, so he died. And then it wasn't for a couple of years, but they couldn't get their filtration system. Because they had natural water, the water that was there was natural. It wasn't chlorinated water. And so to be able to get it that way, it was way too expensive and they had better water parks. So they decided they didn't even tell anybody that they were shutting it down. It was just we're closing for the season and then never reopened.
Yeah, that's bizarre, And a lot of people forget that. You think Disney would just tear it down and just rebuild resorts or anything on there. And no, it's still there.
Yeah.
With some other theme parks that are still there that you can look into that I'm sure Marissa has either covered or will cover a little more in depth. So give you
the hotels and stuff. Yeah. It's cheaper for Disney just to go build somewhere else. So they have enough land.
I know. I'm fascinated by abandoned places. There's channels on YouTube you can watch where these guys, I don't know how they don't get arrested, but okay. It's not my problem. But some of the hotels they've gone into, why? It's not that it's haunted, or it could be, I guess, but it's frozen in time. Literally, they walked in this one hotel, and people had set the tables for breakfast that morning, and it was well, now you can leave. Bye. So the glasses are still there, plates are still there, silverware is still there, everything is still there on the table. Hasn't been moved in 30 years. Doesn't that freak you out? A little?
It does. And I'm surprised vandalism and all of that hasn't come in. I would love to be an urban explorer, but I'm the same way. I would be the one that got the cops would be called on me immediately. I don't have luck with that type of stuff.
Poor Marissa's tried to dive through a window.
Exactly. I got pulled over last night for not having my lights on. So yeah.
Yeah,
it was dust. It wasn't even my fault.
Yeah, come on, give her a break.
Exactly.
So, that to me is really freaky. One of the things too is, some of these people go to malls and stuff, which is super, super weird, where they'll go to a mall and they'll go in somewhere and most of the clothes and racks are gone, from the clothing stores, but there are still things in there where they'll, pick it up and it'll be like someone's note to like, hey guys, make sure you stock the blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like, wow, that's weird. You know what I mean? It's just like, we're just, everybody just told, okay, leave. Be like at work and they came to us and be like, okay, leave everything, go home. You'd be like, what?
Yeah. The mannequins are still in the windows and it's wild.
Yeah, it's totally wild. And most of them have been vandalized and everything, but there are some that are just like, whoa, unbelievable.
Yeah.
So now we're going to go to Canada. And this one is interesting because I've never heard of a amusement park this old. But again, Marissa can help me with this. This one is, if you've heard of it, on Boblo Island. And this one is Ontario, Canada.
I haven't heard of that one.
This one was built in 1898, a Victorian amusement park, which is great. I love to see this. Music from an organ grinder, so picture this, music from an organ grinder, women's skirts swishing around the dance hall, children's laughter echoing from the various newfangled rides. And so I've never heard of a park this old, which is okay. But basically now this has been closed down in 1993. And what was interesting about it was on what they call Bois Blanc Island, or named Boblo. So it was near Detroit and it was on the Canadian side of the Detroit River. So, people from Michigan and Canadians alike could go there. And one of the things about it didn't close, like I said, to 100 years later in 1993. And it's still closed to the public, obviously, but people can still see the boats. They had kayaks there, like little river rides and everything. And still some of the older rides, if you look at some of the pictures, are still kind of there. If you want to look at it, the skeleton remains of them, but people have heard numerous ghostly sounds. People in the dance hall, so they've heard like women's laughter. They've heard children's laughter. They've seen sometimes the boats just start moving, even though there's no water. Well, there's water in there from rain, I guess, but seen some of the kayaks move. They've seen apparitions, mostly from the Victoria era. People have been touched. People have been basically, which I thought was really interesting, chased out of the park. Like people have been literally like someone was chasing them to leave, to like, you need to leave right now. And they just booked it out of there. And you imagine that if it was started in 1898 with, all these, I forgot the organ grinder, of course. So you hear organ grinder too. And you'll hear, the music from it, just like when you're walking past the dance hall, you hear like an organ grinder and the people laughing, and then a lot of apparitions of the park and stuff like that. So yeah, this one's pretty creepy, as they say, because they are, I think, just from the way it was built back in 1898 to some of the newer rides. They tried to blend the history, right, between the Victorian times and newer times. And, again, it's closed off to visitors, but you can see pictures of it, which I'll put up on my social media sites. Creepy as hell. Very creepy.
I have heard of it, but I've never done a deep dive, done an episode on it. Do you know why did it close?
I don't really see anything here in my basic information, but I'm guessing, if you do a deep dive, I'm guessing probably because nobody was going.
Interesting.
Interesting. The insurance, I don't know. I just think it's really, really interesting in this same fact that, older parks got to be creepy, right? They have to be creepy.
Yeah. That's the one in Utah. That Utah only has one theme park, okay, but it's big. But it started back in the late 1800s, and then it moved to the early 1900s to where it is now. Fascinating history with that one, because it was sitting right next to the Great Salt Lake, and it just couldn't, like, the water kept receding, all of that. So it wasn't, people kept drowning in the water, so they moved it. But yeah, those old parks, it's pretty crazy that there's some still around.
Yeah, exactly. And nobody's tearing this down. And why do people have asked me that, like, why don't you tear a certain building down or something? Because it's super expensive. Like, you have to, there's a ton of government regulations dealing with all the different materials and stuff. And there's asbestos and there's lead and there's, you name it, every crappy thing that can make you really sick. So that's why if you're an urban explorer, I mean, I wouldn't go in there without a hazmat suit because there's no way I'm going to get whatever's in there, right? And that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that one's cool. I didn't have to do a research on that one.
Yeah. So this one isn't generally haunted, but it's eerie in the sense of how it happened. So
I'm sure people died in it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they have those early. That's my last episode. I really it's the deadliest decades of theme parks. What would you guess would be the deadliest decade?
I'm going to say 80s.
It is the 80s. The 70s and the 80s were the deadliest decades. So, but that early theme park, like those, it was the Wild West. So
yeah, I've heard some of these parks and stuff that there's one in New Jersey and I can't think of the name of it, which is lawsuit after lawsuit because people would just totally get hurt or killed or maimed. And yes.
I've never done an episode on it. I have like my whole script written up for it, but it would be like 4 episodes long. Yeah. And Netflix has already done, I think it was Netflix. They've already done like their whole thing on it. I'm like, what more could I add to this? But I probably should do an episode. It's fascinating. The looping water slide that like their dummies that they sent down like would come out lost limbs and stuff. And they're still like, all right, who's next? We need a real person now.
Hey,
so crazy.
What, you got 4 limbs? What are you talking about?
Exactly. So wild stuff.
So the last one I think is really interesting because it's something you really don't hear a lot about that happens to theme parks, but this one's the New Orleans Six Flags in Louisiana. So this gentleman, I just got this from someone who had been there and he's taken a bunch of shots and stuff. He works for the Guardian newspaper and he was talking about during a 2015 trip to document the 10th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. If you remember, it was obviously one of the worst hurricanes in the history of the United States. So he went to this park and unfortunately, this park was basically destroyed by the hurricane and everything. And originally, Six Flags believed it would be able to get the park back up and working and in good condition, but later determined it would not be feasible. So the company moved some of the rides to other Six Flags locations, but the remainder have now sat unused for nearly 2 decades. So this place isn't really haunted, but if you look at the pictures, it's so weird because it was fairly new and it was kept up by Six Flags, who's one of the bigger, ride amusement park companies next to Disney and some other companies. But it's weird because it's just, you look at the rides and you're like, wait a minute, is this place going to open or is it going to be soon? So I don't know if it's haunted, but you could imagine if it was for some of the tragedy that happened, with the hurricane destroying this. And that generally does not happen for a park to close. Hurricane. It's usually insurance or run out of money or people's limbs are falling off. But so I don't know if you've heard about this one, Marissa, and if heard of maybe it's haunted or is anything weird with it?
Yeah, I have. I did an episode on that one. And yeah, they say it's haunted. It kind of goes, there was a death in there as well. So there was a woman trying to put her grandson on a ride or take him off and it started up and she got hit. I don't think it's haunted from that though. Okay. I actually think it's just New Orleans energy anyways. It has that dark, I don't know, it's not even dark. Like some of it is. I've been there before and some of it was a little dark, but that New Orleans energy. And yeah, I think that it definitely holds on to, the good times and then to nothing for sure.
Yes, exactly. So is there any particular parks maybe that I've read today or that you have reported on and done a podcast episode on that you would like to go to, that you'd like to visit?
I think the one that I would really love to visit is in Japan, and we didn't talk about it, but it's the Gulliver's Kingdom in Japan. Have you ever heard about it?
Yep.
So it's right next to the haunted forest, and haunted forest, I've got to go, right? But I've wanted to go there. I've never been to the Jersey Shore, but the Jersey Shore has, dozens of theme parks along the coast of it, and it's all haunted there. So yeah, those two that's not abandoned. There's a couple that are abandoned on there, but it's more just old. But yeah, I would say the Gulliver's Kingdom one in Japan. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And whether it's haunted or not, I think there's a rich history within theme parks that makes it ideal for the paranormal, as well as the abandoned parks, whether they're haunted or not, is just unsettling because there's something strange about going somewhere and all the laughter and fun is just gone, right? It's just dark and eerie, and you're like, "Ugh, this is horrible."
Like, it's like you've taken all of the happiness out of the room, and you're left with just skeletons and of rides, and that's it. Like, it's just because a lot of the rides, like the cars are gone and things like that, it literally is just the bones of the rides that are left. And a lot of times they're taken by not even urban explorers, just like people that they come in and are like, oh, a carousel horse, I'm going to take that. So kind of crazy.
Yeah, don't do that, folks, because nothing good is going to happen from that. You don't
want your house haunted.
Yeah, maybe you do, but I would think against it. Maybe you don't want to do that, everything. So Marissa, this was awesome. I love it. I loved your insight into the theme parks. It's something that I never really looked into, but now I'm going to look into more because, again, it's such a rich history, so full of interesting and scary things that we kind of take for granted. I mean, yeah, there's horror movies out there where killers are like running around trying to stab innocent teenage girls running around and screaming. We know that. Yeah. But this is like real life. And this is something, again, that you can check out. Just be careful if here's my little disclaimer. Don't trespass. You're only going to get into trouble. Maybe you can reach out to someone and be like, hey, can I just come and take some pictures and stuff? There's got to be somebody who's going to be like, yeah, sure. No problem.
Yes.
But awesome. I love it. So tell my spooky friends where they can find you and kind of what's coming up.
Okay, so you can find me on most podcast platforms. Spotify and Apple are my big ones. iHeartRadio, you can find me anywhere. I'm on YouTube, but I really don't post a lot of videos. I'm not very good at it. It's just me. I research, record, edit, and sometimes videos, they just take way too long. So anyways, but yeah, fine. You can listen to it. I have new episodes that come out on Fridays. This week I did The Deadliest Decades, and it ended up being so long. I had to cut it into 2 parts. So this coming week is the 90s and the early 2000s, which were just as crazy as the 70s and 80s. So yeah, check it out. Next month will be my start of summer. So I'm going to go back to fairs. There's tons of fair rides and accidents there. So I'll be going back into the fair. Yeah, I have my whole year's been planned out, but I'm drawing a blank on what I'm coming up with after that. So June is the fair month. Go with that one.
You will go with that one. And, I'll have all Marissa's links and everything. I'll share everything. So you guys can give her some love, my spooky friends. And remember, when you're at a fair or somewhere like an amusement park, just turn to the guy and go like, hey, how many people have died on this ride?
Right. Have you ever felt anything weird here? Yes. Oh, yeah. Please tell me. Please tell me. I would love it. So, and I don't love to make light of all the death at theme parks. For me, I think that I was like kind of called to tell these stories because they do get hidden. Like, you don't hear about it. And even if there is an accident at Disney, oh, well, it's getting covered up. You get a little tiny page and that's it. Like, there's nothing else. And so I think I've been like called to be like, yes, tell my story because this can't end. And also, like, every ride safety feature that we have today is because of an accident in the past or multiple accidents in the past. And so I think it's kind of fascinating to hear the history of why you have, the over the shoulder lap bars versus, the over the shoulder harness versus the lap bars, things like that. Weird stuff, but I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome. So thank you folks for listening. And again, follow Marissa and I on all the social media platforms. Give some love. Make sure, reach out any stories you might have to share with Marissa. Maybe you have a local fair or a local amusement park that's haunted or has an interesting history. Just share it with her. I'm sure she would love to hear it, right?
Yeah, no, I would love to. Thank you so much for having me on here. This has been fun. I was nervous. I mean, I've never been a guest on somebody else's podcast. I've only been doing this about 10 months. Didn't know what I was doing starting it anyways. So I was looking one day, like 5 years ago, being like, there's got to be a podcast on amusement park accidents. And there wasn't one. So I was like, well, I might as well start one.
Yes, and we're glad you did, because this is something that's interesting. It's a little different niche, as they say, that people kind of just don't think about, when they're going past something and they're being like, I wonder what happened there. That's it.
Yeah, and when people ask me, what's your podcast on? I'm like amusement park accidents. Like, I know.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you again. You're welcome back anytime. We'll have to bring you back when, summer's rolling around here again, talk about any new rides, or if you go on any new adventures to share them with me, I would love that.
There's lots more abandoned parks. Let's talk about it.
It sounds great. Okay.
So,
thanks for so much, and stay spooky. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Marissa.
Thank you.